is to connect with people that are really good at their jobs. So when we identify an issue as a community that needs to be fixed, I find the people who are good and put them at a table. And we're gonna fix it. In 2007, I moved to Hanscom Park, and I hate dogs. Y'all need to know how much I hate dogs. This is a Facebook message I got that says, Mike, I want to build a dog park. And I'm like, oh, shit, really? We spent a year, raised $70,000, and built a dog park in Hanscom Park. But it doesn't have to be big like that. They can be little things. We did a kickball tournament. We do Front Porch Fridays. We close the streets in our neighborhoods and throw parties where we bring beer. Everyone likes beer. We can do that. 35th and Center, we built a mural. We repainted a mural. If you haven't been by, I'd ask you to go look at it. But I still have failed at increasing recycling in Midtown, and I apologize for that. The bins the city give us are embarrassing. We should all be pissed off about it, and we should all write them until they fix it. Trash is about money, and anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Bemis Rainbow, one of the greatest events of my summer. If you don't know, you need to know that the Bemis Rainbow was a great, awe-inspiring art piece and failed as a community conversation about how to fix the drought that occurred in Nebraska last year. But that's not even why I'm up here, and now you're really wondering what is going on. I was on the YP board for 3 years. I'm now not on the YP board. They're thankful. We ask for a seat at the table all the time as young professionals. Kennedy was elected a senator at 28, right, David? We have to bring our skills and then go to the table and not leave until they give you what you want. Open yourself up, give the piece that you have to give. You can see what I'm good at. This is it. This is the whole package. It's all I got. I got one trait and one skill. But we get it done. We built a bus stop at 50th and Dodge. If you haven't driven by, it's not even very good. But they let us put it there. I don't even know how to build a bus stop. And as soon as we put it, see the girl there, right above her head? We got 2 emails really pissed off that we put it that high on the top. But we're not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep doing stuff. Y'all better get ready. I got a long life ahead of me. Last summer, the police tried to kill pedicabs in Omaha. I don't know if you're aware of it. We spent 6 weeks. I went to city council and said, wait, city council, I would like to convene a group of people to talk about it. And they actually let me do it. I'm nobody. I'm no represent anybody. I'm on the YP board, yay, whatever. They let me do it. Right now, there's one project I want to let you know about. Well, 2. One is if you don't know who Emerging Train is, figure it out. You're going to know more later. 2, we're planting food in South Omaha. We've identified an 8-acre space of public space. Because remember, we all live together. So everything that happens in a public realm, you can impact. This slide doesn't really mean anything. We are going to fix Omaha, but only if you get with me. I do it for these 3 boys I have because I have a responsibility to make it better, right? Somehow, little ways. They come with me to Kemp Bellows fundraisers. They were standing next to me at the Equal Omaha celebration where we celebrated making Omaha more equal last year. And the reality is, when we look at pictures put out there by the media, we should critique them if we're willing to be part of the solution. So when we look at this picture, there's not one pedestrian. That's a bike rack. Would you know it's a bike rack? Not unless you read the article. Would you think there were any cars in downtown Omaha? No. The point is this. At the end of it, you're all thankful. We have a responsibility to love our city. And they aren't lying to us. They're giving us the reality of them. And we just need to take our reality to them and share it and talk about it and be about it. So please love Omaha and join me, and let's make it better.
Well done. Good job, Mike. Well done. Very good.
Oh, you don't want that?
I'll take it. Dave, give it Dave. Good job. Well done, Mike. So many truths in like each and every one of these presentations. It's amazing. The next one up is Dave Nelson. So let's go ahead and welcome him to the stage. What I think Dave knows, but I don't know if a lot of other people do, Dave was the inspiration to me to start something called Silicon Prairie News, right? I knew of this web designer that was in Omaha doing amazing work for national brands and companies, but to be able to say, like, I think Omaha needs to know what Dave and what people like Dave are doing. And so Dave and I go back, I don't know, 48 years. But Dave today is co-founder of Skate for Change and Omaha Hype, as well as owns his own boutique ad and graphic design company called Secret Penguin. So with that, let's give another welcome to Dave Nelson. Thanks,
Hi. Okay. I have a hard time communicating with words. But as a kid, I realized that I could communicate better through drawing. And this is my first memory of, I drew myself expressing what I thought was funny in kindergarten, and my teacher kind of thought otherwise. So jump forward a few years, and I grew up skateboarding at a time when skateboarding wasn't cool and it wasn't popular. And I was picked on, and I was spit on, and I got jumped. I got threatened at gunpoint multiple times. And it got to a point where even our high school let us out of class 5 minutes early to avoid fights. And I went to study hall one day and saw this next slide that was carved in the table that I was sitting at. And that was the first time I got jumped after school. So, after school, I would go skateboarding all the time when I wasn't busy getting jumped. And skateboarding anywhere outside of a skate park is illegal, and there were no skate parks at the time. So I got quite a few tickets throughout high school and got my boards taken away. I got banned from properties where they took my picture and hung it up in a little security office. And we'll come back to what my numbers are today. So I was already a shy kid, and being treated like this made it really rough for me. And outside of my family and my small circle of friends, I really felt like I didn't have a voice. And even when I did feel like speaking up, it was hard for me to form those words to say something. But it got to a point where something needed to change. And so my friends and I started meeting every Thursday. And had we known we'd be meeting for 5 years until anything happened, I think we would have reapproached what we were doing. But thankfully, the student Democrats from UNO stepped in and really helped us kind of organize ourselves to figure out how to get a public skate park for ourselves. And in 1999, Roberts Skate Park opened up, and it was the first time, it was the first time that I felt like I had a voice and I could contribute something to this community. And it completely changed my life. I got endorsed by some of the best companies in the world for skateboarding. And I toured for 7 years. And I was in magazines, and they put me on the cover of some magazines, and we skateboarded in front of crowds of 250,000 people, and they'd fly us in just to sign autographs. And it was truly like a childhood dream. It didn't even feel real. And one of my most memorable tours was when we went to Mexico. And we skateboarded with kids for a week for 12 hours a day. And they had just gotten a new mayor in that area of town that was going to stop funding to the skate park. And she came down to see what we were doing because she had heard about this and saw all the kids having fun, and they weren't fighting, and there were families gathered around the skate park. And she was so moved by it, she invited us out to dinner, and she continued funding that skate park. So there was something powerful that I think we were doing through skateboarding. From what I had experienced to now what I saw, what could be possible, it kind of put me on a path to want to give people like myself and my friends that felt like we didn't have a voice, I want to give them a chance to, well, I guess it put me on a path to want to be able to provide a chance to give them a voice. And so quite a few of my friends, they fell into depression and they turned to drugs to try to cope with feeling like a nobody. And when the Omaha skate park opened, they had a place to go and be with like-minded people and do things that they were passionate about. It completely changed their life, and it was really cool to see the impact that that park had on all these people. So a friend of mine approached me a few years ago about wanting to open an indoor park in Lincoln, Nebraska called The Bay. His name is Mike Smith. He's a great guy. And the new location is going to open this spring. It's going to have an art gallery in it. It's going to have an art studio so kids can create artwork there. And there's going to be a music venue. So all the branding here we did through our agency. Everything in there kind of looks like a shipyard, and it's to symbolize like a safe harbor. And you can see the logo. It has like subtle things of a compass. And it's to symbolize kids finding direction by learning tangible life skills through the stuff that they're passionate about. And Skate for Change is a division of the Bay. And Skate for Change it's simply just skateboarders getting together every week and doing something to better the community. And what I think is cool is that it helps kids see with minimal effort that they have the ability to make a huge difference. When a kid goes and gives a pair of dry socks to a guy living on the streets and he breaks down in tears, that completely changes that kid's life as well as that other guy. So Omaha, Laura Burhan approached me and Cody Peterson and Will to start a platform to promote the creative and cool things going on in the city. And so of course we were on board. We really like this and kind of gives a voice to those people doing creative things. And in its third year, we now get over 30,000 visits a month. So when I was on tour, I started doing design work and marketing for the skateboard companies I was endorsed by. And the more I got hurt, the more design work I took on, and I accidentally formed a little boutique ad agency. And I just fell in love with the business, and it's fun to be able to help brands communicate without having to use verbal words. So I got picked on a lot in high school, and a lot was from the football players. Not all the football players, but some. And those some really wanted to play for the NFL, but they didn't. And the NFL hired our agency a while back for a couple campaigns, and I feel like that's my little way of getting back at those jerks. We really take pride in who we work with at Secret Penguin. We get to work alongside some great nonprofit organizations, as well as some for-profit companies, and we work with a lot of companies that we feel make Omaha unique. So it really makes our job fun. Okay, remember these numbers? This is where I'm at today. I'm 34 years old. Most of those tickets are from just riding from one place to another, just like as if I was on a bike. This isn't all in Omaha. This is over the 7 years I traveled throughout the country and the world as well. But you can see that there's still there's a need for a legal place to be able to skateboard. Maybe downtown, maybe in North Omaha or South Omaha, perhaps. So I'll end with this quote from my dad. He's incredibly loving, but he's very matter of fact, and he's great. So I was really hurt, like physically and mentally, by the people that picked on me. But rather than just complain and do nothing, I want to maybe still complain and maybe cry a little bit, but then I want to do whatever's possible to make this a better place. Thanks.
Awesome. Good job. Well done. Good job. Thanks, Dave. Next up, Mr. Oscar Duran. Let's welcome him to the stage.
Thank you so much.
Oscar is originally from southernmost Texas, where the weather is very similar to here. He's proud to call Nebraska home for the last 14 years. Very, very passionate around spending the majority of his time focused on helping others maximize their individual and local community assets. So let's give another round of applause to Oscar Duran.
Thank you, everybody. I want to start off, I'm going to change my slide, the whole thing today. So I'm winging it from here. I'm a community organizer. And the biggest thing about that is what inspires me. And think about yourself, what inspires you? One of the biggest things that's inspiring me is that 20 years before I was alive, my family came and did migrant work in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. And my mother later told me, she said, "Mijo, I know that one day our family was going to be in Nebraska. It's a long journey, especially when you think about the 60s. I'm inspired about the people who had a big impact on me. The two primary ones, of course, would have to be, number one, my grandfather. His two biggest loves in life next to God and his family were his chilies and his corn. I learned so much from him about patience and about having a true passion for your work ethic that would show into your whole life. I was very inspired by my mother, who always believed in me and told me, number one, you need to have faith in yourself and follow a path. And my faith is something that definitely guides me in knowing that my life is only going to be better by the number of people I'm going to make their lives better. More importantly, my mom carried me, I think, until I was like 6. And she gave me a lot of confidence. And regardless of all the pessimism and everything else around me, she made sure I was confident. And I needed that because growing up, I lived in 7 different states. I lived in over 30 different neighborhoods. I was a new kid in school 11 different times through high school. I had to be that. I called so many places home. But I think that was such an enriched way to grow up because I learned about community. Now, my big caveat was I thought community is that time and only spatial or geographic. I've corrected that today. But even back then, you're 19, and I'm like, well, I think it's even simpler than that. Community to me is spatial in its country and its city. I'm from a small farm town, but I love living in Dallas. Now, of course, there's nothing against suburbia. For those of you who know me, I don't pass 24th Street much, but city and country were the two big things that drove me to understand community. But that even led me into something else. I was a mediocre student, but it wasn't until I graduated with a 2.3 GPA in college that I found this field of urban sociology, and I learned, oh my God, there's these thousands of scholars that study specifically people and organizations that thrive in cities and countries. And then you know what? Grad school 4.0, and I am dumb. I'm not gonna lie. I'm passionate, but I am not smart. But then I found my acid. I was good at this stuff. I got it. It clicked. My mom told me one big thing. She's like, Odie, you need to root yourself somewhere. You know, all that moving around, I was a damn near gypsy. Sorry, I don't think that's a swear word, right? Okay. But she said, you need to root yourself somewhere. So I was like, you know what? My grandfather brought us here in the 60s to Nebraska. I'm gonna root myself in Nebraska. And why? Because Omaha, it's a dirty, wicked town, and I loved it. I loved it. You need to read that book, by the way, if you have it. It's awesome. So my mom's like, you need to stop moving around, mijo. So what did I do? It clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to South America. So regardless of everything out, I packed up and I went to South America for a half a year. And I met these group of women, and I'm so grateful for them because they're in this shanty town called San Juan de Miraflores. It's 750,000 people that's built on an old landfill. And these women were come together and they did tremendous things. And please come and ask me about it sometime because I don't have enough time to give to them. But the big lesson that they taught me was that the number one asset in every community is the people that are already there. Regardless of all our differences and variances, you gotta find the commonalities that bridge us together. And that's who I'm grateful for, them. Because after that first year, I said, oh my God, look at what these women are doing with no formal education, very little resources, a government that doesn't care, and I started thinking about our home in Omaha. With all our resources, what can we do? Well, I come back and I find this amazing organization called the Deer Park Neighborhood Association. And I love them. They embraced me. It was a bunch of viejitos, older people, but they gave me chances, and they taught me one big thing. That there's two ways to look at community development, and neither one is right or wrong. There's a needs-based model. What are the deficiencies there? But somebody needs to talk about the assets, and every community out there has individual assets, and how do you maximize them? In 2010, we started thinking, okay, what's an asset we have in our neighborhood? We had a 4-block area next to an elementary school, and we had 4 condemned homes, and then we had $10,000 in the bank, and I said, I think that's an asset. We can tear those down. We partnered with Habitat for Humanity, and I'm happy to announce that we got all 4 of these houses tore down in 4 months. And then Habitat saw me, and then they paid me to take care of my neighborhood. I'm still baffled by that. I don't get that. But it's incredible, and I love them, and I'm so grateful for such an amazing employer that cares about the people. And they gave me the opportunity to build my experience and knowledge of community development to understand that every community has 5 assets. There's the individuals that we talked about. A group of citizens, which is a cool word, associations. It's a group of active citizens. The land, institutions, and most interesting to me, the one, is the value of exchange that's in a community. And not just goods and services, but the dialogue, the conversations. And you know what asset we found in Deer Park? Another one? I'm gonna say graffiti. I have to say urban art to some people, but not that the physical art itself or the defacement, but the dialogue that was happening in our community was organic and it was already there. Some merchants hated it, some people loved it. Kids were finding out where I lived and they said, I want to do a community mural, and I said, that's dope. The other thing I'm grateful for is a group of friends, my moped friends. They let me feel young. It's another informal community. But the biggest thing I'm grateful for is the city of Omaha that's given me a chance to be an active community leader, and I know I'm in a room full of community leaders. So you've been given a lot of challenges, but the biggest one I'm gonna give all of you is that you need to dream big, and most importantly, you need to act on it. Time is gonna go by no matter what. Make your dreams come true. Find out the other dreamers. There's so much opportunity here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Nice work. Well done. Well done. Good job. Good job, Oscar. Before we bring up the last one, I think real quick, don't let this table, and there's 70 people, if not 170, right? And I see Christian from In Common. So the room is filled with people like this table. If you're having challenges or need help or need assistance or want to push something forward or say, hey, how'd I do that? Go find these guys to start with after this. Don't just walk out the door. The amount of talent, the amount of passion, frankly, at this table, and again, every single table in here, I think, I hate to see that kind of just walk out the door and go back to kind of life as it is, right? Last one I want to bring up, Beth Katz. So super excited. Let's give her a big welcome. So Beth is the executive director of Project Interfaith, which is a nonprofit organization here in town, work to building communities in a world where people of all faiths, beliefs, cultures are valued, included, and protected. So right here from Omaha, her work has been recognized by the White House, the U.S. State Department, the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, and my favorite one, Harvard University's Pluralism Project. Say that 3 times fast, which declared Project Interfaith's work to be among, quote, the most innovative in the country. So let's give another round of applause to Beth Katz, please.
Thanks, everyone. You all are troopers. So let me start off by introducing myself. Hi, I'm Beth Katz, and I'm a nice Jewish girl from Nebraska, as evidenced by this picture. But in all seriousness, though, I wanted to share with you that I'm Jewish because my Jewish identity and my experiences as a Jewish American have really shaped how I think about transformation and how I think about community, which is why we're here today, right? So what Judaism taught me to see from the get-go is not just what's before me, but what's possible. And Judaism also taught me not to just see what's possible, but to go get it, to go pursue what's possible and see what happens through that. In Judaism, we have this concept called tikkun olam, and in Hebrew, it literally means world repair. And the idea of tikkun olam goes something like this. The world that we live in, though it was created by God as a whole and perfect place, is broken. And how do we know it's broken? We know it's broken because of what we see every day. We see suffering, we see people in poverty, we see people who are experiencing injustice and inequality. But Judaism says, according to tikkun olam, it doesn't have to be this way. In fact, it shouldn't be this way. There's more that's possible than how it is. And so that has made a huge impression on me. Judaism says, according to tikkun olam, that it's not the responsibility of just one individual, you or me, to fix it, and it's not even the responsibility of God to fix it, but it's the responsibility of all of us working together in partnership with God to fix it. So Judaism really taught me co-creation from the get-go. This was part of my upbringing. And I think that that's something that has really been, that's been inspiring to me because it really shaped and changed how I think about community. This idea that through partnership, possibilities can happen, and transformation will occur. It taught me to see community as not a noun, but a verb. Community is something that we create and alter together. It's not something that we're just dropped into. It's not just an ecosystem that we're a part of. And that is so empowering when you think about it, because this is really an opportunity to create the world that we want to live in and to help the world realize its full potential and to heal it and make it whole again. I also, though, learned from this concept is that change and transformation are often slow and incremental processes, and that there's beauty in that slow, incremental change as much as there is excitement in a revolution, and that we need both to really move things forward. So I was also inspired not just by my faith, but also by my family, my Jewish upbringing. So my family came to the United States and to Nebraska early in the 20th century, and they came from a situation in Eastern Europe where they experienced a lot of terrible abuse and harassment simply because they were Jewish. On a daily basis, they were beat up, and they experienced just really awful treatment. So when my family came here, they instilled with me on a daily basis, not just this concept of tikkun olam, but that we could be who we are. We could be openly Jewish, and that's amazing, and we should be grateful for it. And I should be so lucky to be in this country. But the thing is, growing up here in Omaha, I didn't always feel so lucky to be Jewish. You know, I felt sometimes really marginalized by it, and I felt left out sometimes. You know, I couldn't relate to my friends who would share what they did at Christmas, and I got tired of sometimes having to shrug off the stereotypes about Jewish American princesses and the jokes about how Jews love money. And so after my bat mitzvah, which is like a Jewish rite of passage at about age 13, I stopped going to synagogue and I stopped going to Hebrew school because I didn't know if I wanted to be Jewish anymore. Now my grandpa Moo, he saw what was going on, and you should know about my grandpa, he had two loves in his life. One was my grandma, and the other was the United States. He came to this country from Poland at the age of 12, and he came here traumatized and malnourished. He was afraid to walk down the street because he would get beat up on a daily basis, again, just because he was Jewish. So he saw my growing apathy and ambivalence about my Jewish identity, and he pulled me aside one day, and he said, you know, Beth, you may not choose to identify as Jewish, but other people are going to identify you as Jewish. So you better make your peace with this. And it was as soon as he said it, it was like, boom. It was like a bucket of cold water was splashed on me. And I realized that I shouldn't be pulling away because I feel misunderstood or I feel I'm questioning my faith or my identity, that retreating and disconnecting is not how to handle it. That it's in those times of